want to make North Carolina a safe place to come, bring your business, a safe place for families, a safe place to work and to go to school. And we can do that. I think first you have to look at what you've accomplished and what you're doing before you need to look where you need to go. And I think it's important to point out that over the last decade in North Carolina, we've had a 14% decrease in the crime rate, while at the same time during those 10 years, we've had a 20% increase in the population. I've asked law enforcement to step up and do one more thing to put their lives on the line to help keep people safe. We've instituted rapid deployment. When you have a shooter, whether it's in a business, a nursing home, or a school, who's shooting indiscriminately, it used to be that the method for law enforcement was surround, contain, wait for the SWAT team. We learned, particularly at Columbine, that you can't do that anymore if you want to save innocent lives. So we've instituted rapid deployment, where the first few officers who are on the scene have been trained to take steps to subdue the shooter themselves before the SWAT team gets there in order to save innocent lives. We've done this particularly with schools. As Brad mentioned, we provided a critical incident response kit to every school, which gets them ready for this type of attack if it occurred. We did a video saying what to do in the first 20 minutes that is shown to teachers and principals every year to help them train. I've had young kids at home. Now they are in high school and one out of law school. But we know that the internet has provided significant help for them, a great learning tool. I used to have to spend hours at the card catalog. My kids can find the answer with the click of a mouse. It's great. However, there's a dark side. A 13-year-old in Cary gets on the internet. He starts talking to somebody he doesn't know. This person who is a child predator finds out where he lives when his parents won't be home, comes over and rapes him. That's the kind of thing that can happen when we don't take steps to protect kids on the internet. We're out there warning kids and parents about this, teaching them, and maybe even more importantly, we have an Internet Crimes Against Children task force where we are training officers to go online and catch these predators before they have a chance to hurt our kids. They go online, pose as kids, and make sure they stop these predators. And we're going to continue to do that. We're spreading it throughout North Carolina. I created the first computer forensics unit in order to go out and battle these predators. And we're going to continue to do that in addition to battling child pornography, which is proliferating on the problem that many states are having. Representative McLaughlin has done a lot of work in the area of domestic violence, and she wanted to mention another effort that we're doing to help curb domestic violence. We've pushed for tougher laws. I mean, clearly this is an issue that we've got to fight. But we saw a problem, particularly with spouses, with boyfriends, the stalker who will not let that victim go. The person maybe has kids, moves from place to place, trying to get away from this predator. And what they will often do is go to the public record because your address, your information is there, and they're able to find you. Well, we instituted in my office what we call the Address Confidentiality Program. We've helped hundreds of victims. I'd rather call them survivors because they work hard to survive and have to deal with this problem. When they register for our program, they get a card. And whenever they go down to get a driver's license or their utilities or they register to vote, they present this card. And the next time that stalker goes to try to find out where they are in the public records, they'll find their name, but the address is the Attorney General's office. Tougher laws for criminals. We're working very hard to apprehend them. Law enforcement gets frustrated. One of the main problems that we are seeing right now is the increase in the number of gangs and gang members in North Carolina. The last study a few years ago showed over 14,500 gang members in North Carolina with over 500 identified gangs. It's not just an urban problem. It is everywhere in North Carolina. And although we continue to see a decrease in violent crime, One violent crime is one too many. A couple of proposals and ideas for you that we'll be bringing to the General Assembly and we'll be trying to institute. One, we need to get more DNA samples into this database earlier. I'm going to be asking the General Assembly to give us authority to take DNA samples from arrestees of violent crimes. As soon as they are arrested for a violent crime, let's take that DNA and put it in the database. We take their fingerprint, we take their picture, we take other personal information. The sooner we can get it in that database, the quicker we can catch oftentimes serial rapists, serial murderers, and people who are committing violent crimes. I think that's one important step. We have to also continue with better technology. In order to fight the gang problem, we have started something called GangNet, which local law enforcement can use to piece together gang members, signs. Oftentimes they are interrelated, not just within the state, but across the country, to help them solve crimes. We also need to look at the preventive end. As to the gang problems, I've talked to a number of officers. They tell me as soon as we arrest one gang member and put him in jail, they go out and recruit 2 more. We need to cut off the pipeline. We need to get to our kids earlier in the process to help them make better choices. That's why I started a program called Badges for Baseball in North Carolina. We paired up with the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, which is out of Maryland. We had Cal Ripken Jr., one of the greatest baseball players ever to live, come down and help us kick it off. We used $250,000 from the Cal Ripken Foundation and $250,000 from a consumer settlement that the court instructed us to use it to help youth. Put $500,000 together to start this program. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We used existing boys and girls clubs mostly. And what this program does, it pairs together law enforcement officers as mentors for kids. And they go in and work with kids in the afternoon. They play baseball, they play a game called quick ball. But more importantly, there's a character program. It helps kids make better choices. These kids have a lot of pressure on them at a very early age to join gangs and to commit crimes. Law enforcement officers can be a positive role model. Is a problem that is extremely frustrating to officers. Almost 40% of the people who leave our prisons or leave our probation will be rearrested within 3 years. Now that is a statistic that has stayed pretty even. We've got to do something about that for the safety of our communities. Now, we've pulled together what we call Street Safe. It will be a task force to help pull together all the nonprofits, the state agencies, the people that are working to help turn lawbreakers into productive citizens. Almost 98% of the people who get into prison eventually will get out. And the first thing I will say is the chief of law enforcement officer of the state, violent prisoners ought to be behind bars and they ought to stay there. But eventually most of the people who go into prison will get back out. And since we've eliminated parole, it's pretty much here's $50, have a nice life. Oftentimes they migrate right back to the same people and do the same things they were doing before. I've seen committed people who work with churches, faith-based groups, nonprofits, who are very committed to helping people get back into society and getting a job. They call them up and they say, why weren't you at your AA meeting? Let's go to the seminar. Let's learn how to do a job interview. And the nonprofits that I've seen that are doing it are being very successful with this. We need a coordinated, seamless effort. Not just because it's the right thing to do, but because we want to reduce the crime rate, we want to reduce recidivism, and we want to keep our communities safe. I see the Chamber has taken steps to fight crime. They want to be involved. I think one of the great ways to do it is to have business people in the community serve as mentors and tutors. Our Department of Justice adopted a school, and we go down and tutor every week with kids. And it can make a difference if you work with them earlier. I look forward to continuing to work with you. It's been an honor to be with you today.